The worst animator in the world, challenged myself to make a blue lock animation in 7 days. The first step was to decide what I was going to animate, and this was the part that took me the longest because I didn't know a good scene from the manga to make an animation. But after a long time struggling, I remembered a panel from the manga that I found interesting, which, in this case, was this one. So, to not waste time, I started making the sketch of each scene. I based it in what was in the manga. Oh, and one detail. In the manga, some panels had many characters or some effects, so to have time to finish the animation in 7 days, I cut some panels and some characters, but nothing important. These are the base to make the animation, so I made sure they looked the way I wanted the final result of the drawing to be. On the second day, I already started at full speed making the first scene. In this part, he is getting ready to jump, so I made an animation of him crouching quickly and slowing down the animation with closer frames to make the scene smoother. In scene 2, there are a lot more things to animate. In this one, I made the transition from him still crouching to him jumping. As for the other characters, one I made more static since in the manga he's not doing much. The other, I had to make an animation of him running and getting ready to intercept the ball. The third scene was one of the ones that had the most to animate because I had to make an action for each character. The first was Nagi. This is the part where he kicks the ball, and here was my mistake, not only in this scene, but in the whole animation. Because when you're a beginner artist or animator, the right thing is to look for references for what you're going to do. But I didn't do that, so it didn't turn out as good as it could have, but that's how you learn. So I made the animation of Nagi kicking the ball, adding some frames with a kind of smearing to give the feeling that it was faster. As for Isagi, I only made an animation of him from behind and then turning to look at the goal. And the other character, I only made a small transition of him kind of jumping to try to block the shot. The goalkeeper was one of the main ones, so I did something basic, made his eyes and mouth open more. The rest was just positioning each frame to look like he was going to defend the ball. The intention for this scene was for it to have slow motion at the end to give it a more cinematic look. On the third day, I went to make scene 4. My idea for this scene was to leave it all in slow motion. So I made Nagi falling and changing the angle a bit. As for Kaiser, who is the character on the right, I made him falling too, but closing his legs and arms a bit. The goalkeeper was just him falling slowly. In scene 5, I did it more like a transition to the next animation. In this one, I made some fans celebrating the goal, and this panel exists in the manga. The first one I made celebrating normally, doing an animation with his arms lower, then the transition frame with the arms kind of blurred to give the feeling of movement, and then them with their arms raised. As for the other two, I made an interaction of them spilling popcorn while they were celebrating. On the fourth day, I made the last scene. In Nagi's part, there wasn't much to animate. It was more him raising his arms. As for Nagi's friend, I made an animation of him jumping to celebrate the goal. This scene starts fast and then goes into slow motion to make it look cooler. And after finishing the animation of the scenes, I still had to paint and make the backgrounds, so I immediately went to paint everything. And unlike the first video, this time I didn't mess up by marking the shadows with blue. I did it directly in the right color, so it wouldn't look bugged and I wouldn't waste time. So I painted each scene one by one, and I didn't add too much detail to the painting because this is the part that takes the longest to do. Even simplifying the painting, it took me 2 days to finish, leaving only 1 day to make all the backgrounds. And this is where the discouragement starts, because if I'm already bad at animation, when it comes to making backgrounds, I'm terrible. But this time, I didn't want to use 3D or ready-made backgrounds. I wanted to do it myself and do it the way I knew how, using the few skills I had. I even tried to analyze some images of backgrounds from the anime, but it didn't help at all, because it turned out completely different. But that's fine, those guys have a professional studio with 300 people to make a background, and here it's just me. At least the background didn't turn out that bad, or did it? After finishing, I did the composition of each scene individually, and then I sent all the scenes to the editing program to add some camera effects, brightness, and some blur effects to give a sense of impact. Oh, and I also added some sound effects. And after doing all of that, I finally finished it. And here it is, the worst blue lock animation made in 7 days. Leave a like and subscribe. Bye.